Another thing that's kind of confusing is I've been using this word called elections, but then of course you probably heard primaries and caucuses and these other terms floating about. Well, what is the difference between elections, primaries slash caucuses? Well, a primary and a caucus is basically the way that the political party determines who is going to be on their ballot and run for their position. Now, I know I said a lot of really odd words, so let me kind of break it down. All right. So let's say you're a Democrat and you live in the state of Dallas. How many people and there's a mayoral race coming up. How many people do you think want to be mayor? Just one? Maybe two, maybe three, maybe four, maybe five, maybe 10, maybe 100? So in any election, before the election happens, your party needs to determine, okay, guys, who's going to be our person that's running for the mayor's office or the governor office or this position or that position. And so before the election, the parties get together and they hold what's called a primary or a caucus. And all that is just like, okay, these 5-6 people who want to all be mayor from the Democratic Party, let's do an election and figure out which one of them is actually going to be the guy on the ballot. Because again, we can't have 5 people doing it. Same thing with Republicans. These 6-7 people who want to become mayor or governor, let's have an election internally with us and our people, and let's figure out who that person's going to be. So that way, when it comes down to election day, you don't have, you're not looking at a piece of paper that's got like 100 people. You have to pick that individual. So that's what primary and a caucus is. The election is, of course, the actual day where the final candidates, the people who the parties have chosen, are going to be on the ballot, the paper that you fill out. And that's the day that you determine, okay, who's actually going to be the mayor now. Not who's going to be the party's candidate to become the mayor, and then they have to face off with somebody else, but rather this is the time that we determine who's going to be the mayor, who's going to be the governor, who's going to be the senator, who's going to be the representative. Why do I make this distinction? The reason I make this distinction is because very, very few people in America vote. About 60% of Americans vote in presidential elections, and then even fewer people vote in primaries and caucuses, or even get involved in a primary or caucus. Why? Because it's on a random date. And there's not a lot of media hype around it, and you just don't know when it is. However, if you vote in the primary or your caucus, you have a much more, your vote matters a lot more because there's a lot less people voting in those elections. So in these types of elections, the primaries and the caucuses that determine who's going to be on the actual ballot and run, if you vote in that election or if you participate in that, then your vote is going to mean much more than, for example, if you just vote in the election. So it's important to understand that, again, the primary and the caucus is just the thing that happened before where the party determined, all right, guys, these 5-6 people who's going to be our guy or gal who's going to run. And then the election is when the parties and all the different candidates actually run against each other. And then one person determined who wins the election, then actually gets the position of being the mayor, the governor, senator, representative, so on and so forth.